Welcome back to the Unstuck Movement. This platform is for you. This platform is to help you get unstuck from those places in your life. Maybe it's personally, maybe it's professionally, maybe it's spiritually, whatever that looks like for you. I want to help you get unstuck, and the guests that come on here want to help you get unstuck. This platform is to give you the power, the patience, the perseverance, the stamina to get you to that place in your life of success, to get you to that place in your life where you're proud of yourself, you're happy with yourself, and you're loving what you're doing. Getting unstuck is one of the most important things that we can do in our lives. I want to thank the sponsors who make this podcast possible. First of all, 𝗀𝗻𝗲, the Author Millionaire Academy, Connected Leaders Academy, and Unleash You Now and their mastermind. They're amazing sponsors. They help me so much, so I want to help them also. Today on the podcast, we have the powerful Travis Meikle with us from Trav Media. What's up, man?
What is going on, Rob? Thanks for having me on. I'm just so blessed to be here, brother.
So happy to have you here. Before we dive into the unstuck question for you, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, I'm Travis Meikle with Trav Media Group. We've been kicking it for about 6 years now, helping many different businesses in many different industries with digital media marketing and branding needs, from websites to mobile apps, logos, designs, so many different helpful tools within marketing research, search engine marketing, training. If your company needs trained up on these things, if you have a team, but man, they need to be maximized, give me a call and I can set you up with some tools, or send me an email, travis@trav.media. You can hit me up.
Awesome, man. And along with all those things, you're a great leader also, which is why I wanted to have you on here, and a good friend. So I was very excited to have you on to talk about your path and getting unstuck. So we all have places that we've been unstuck in our lives. So I love to frame these episodes with a question. Questions are important. Good questions bring out great answers. Great answers lead you to great solutions in your life and move your life forward. So I like to frame these episodes with a question. And my question for you today is, what mindset shifts did you need to have, and you had to apply those into your life and into your business in order to take your business to the next level? What were those mindset shifts for you?
Well, the first mindset shift was wanting to educate myself. I thought I was, very technical, and, I'm really good at design, but I felt like every encounter I had was very sales oriented, and I was putting on a show, if you will, death by slide deck, PowerPoint. I'm sure we're all guilty of it at some point or another, but it started with my mentor coming to me and telling me that, hey, Travis, I read this book that it just reminded me of you. And then, but I wasn't reading a whole lot. And he's like, Travis, you're talking with a lot of CEOs, high-level executives, investors. He says, you're not reading and educating yourself for you anymore. You're doing it for them. And whenever I realized that not reading, not educating myself, not listening to audiobooks, was in fact being selfish. And that's the last thing that I wanted to be. I started living by this mantra: to be blessed, you must first be a blessing. But it all started with wanting to be educated, wanting to better myself and put myself in a better place for those around me. And it started there. And from there, I'm able to help so many other people by being able to, kind of take the doctor's approach, the diagnose and prescribe. So, if you're having a problem, there's typically a book that has a remedy that you can read the book, and we can have a discussion around how the principles that you learn in the book and how we can apply them to what you're talking about. So, in a leadership capacity, like I love hearing, those types of things, and people coming back to me and saying, oh my goodness, like that little piece that, giving, and this is why I love mentorship, learning from other people's mistakes, right? I'd rather someone give me a roadmap with all the potholes than, go in blind, and, get busted up. and take your lumps, right? It's not always a good time, but so wanting to educate myself also helped me become a better communicator. And that was, I was saying a lot, but there wasn't a whole lot of substance behind it, right? I felt like that was kind of the gist, as I was, I was part of many, public speaking organization. Shout out to Toastmasters. We've got some fellow Toastmasters in some of your groups. If you're having trouble with public speaking, Toastmasters is a great way. So go online, Google it. You'll bring it up by your area. So, yeah, man, so many good things, and even being able to pivot from being in like these presentation modes where I'm trying to be Mr. Sales Guy. I had to, and it wasn't working. It just wasn't. People want to buy, they don't want to be sold.
Mm-hmm.
And I was selling and it wasn't working. And so I threw away all the slide decks, right? Threw them all. I don't even know what they look like anymore. And I started asking questions. Whenever first time I met with someone, I don't even know if I can help them. In any role,
mm-hmm.
I need to ask a few questions, and one of the critical questions that I have is, are you looking for a project or are you looking for a partner? So when people ask me, oh, send me pricing, I can't. Let's talk through it. I don't know what you need. You may, there may be some things that you need to do before we even take that plunge. So,
and one of the best things that you can do is ask those questions. I mean, that is the best thing you can do, because oftentimes when people come to you for a need, they don't know what they want. Right. And you asking the right questions helps them clarify what it is that they want and what it is that they need. And then you can find out if you are the right fit. You're not, like you said, you're not selling them something. You should be in there creating a buyer. But that buyer might not be your buyer, right? That might not be your person. You don't know until you have that conversation.
Right. And, I say, quit selling and start socializing, right? It's being able, so I follow 𝗀𝗃. So if you, some tools. So this goes back to wanting to educate myself. So if you're listening to this, kudos, you're here, you're wanting to educate yourself, and you're wanting to get unstuck. And this one is wonderful. So 𝗀𝗃, never split the difference. So if you're trying to improve your conversation skills, pick up that audiobook. I say audiobook over book because it's actually 𝗀𝗃 speaking. Mm-hmm. And you get so much more context by listening to what he's saying and how he's saying it. He has a piece in there, his late night DJ voice, and to give you some background on Chris, he's a former FBI hostage negotiator. So, if you're going to take negotiation tips, you might want to take some notes.
What was the big thing that you got out of that? So give me something from never split the difference. What's the key takeaway from that for you?
So two things. So the one is labeling, right? It sounds like blank. It sounds like you have a real problem with your marketing, and then getting to know. So it sounds like you're having trouble with your marketing. Is this something you want to do on your own? No. But if it's a yes, that's not a bad thing either, because then I can put them in one of my training sessions.
Mm-hmm.
So all based on what their needs are. It's very turnkey. I'll add a third one is mirroring. So ask me a question. What was the question?
Hey, where'd you buy that shirt?
What shirt? Shirt?
Yeah, the shirt, man. Where'd you buy the shirt? Now you're making me mad.
This year I've met many, you know, but you basically pull three keywords out of whatever it is, and a great example, in an interrogation, I want $500,000 or you're never seeing her again.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, $300,000 or $500,000. How am I supposed to do that? So you're taking a piece and then
expanding on
it.
Yeah, I have heard that. I mean, that builds rapport with people, and there's something about repeating something back that somebody said that builds. It's more powerful than most things that you can do in a conversation. Is just repeat what the person said, because clarification is key. In marriage counseling, it's one of the biggest things they recommend when you're in an argument with your wife or your husband, and you relay what they just said. You paraphrase it. So you're telling me that you said
labeling
that I didn't clean the bathtub for 8 years. Is that what you're saying to me? And that's them, because that builds that validation of, oh, you heard me. We don't know that that's happening, right? We don't realize that's what's happening when somebody says that back to us, but it gives us validation of, oh, I'm being heard. I'm being understood.
Oh, there's a study of waitresses. They had 10 waiters mirror back from the patrons their orders, and then they had another 10 waitresses not mirror back, but be sure that they overuse thank you, have a great day, do you need, you know what I mean, like, so pushing more gratitude phrases, and so they compared the two. Do you know who got the most tips?
The ones who relayed back the info. I think you had sent that video to me, actually. I believe
I did. That
was good, man. That it gave me good insight, right? It was like, yes, because especially when you're ordering a meal, you think about that. It's like, well, that's powerful, because you don't want your meal to be screwed up. You don't want your food to be screwed up. That person says it back to you. You're like, oh, they got it. And it's just, that's like with everything else. Somebody says something back to you. You're like, oh, they got it.
Right. Yeah. They comprehended it. They wrote it down in their head, because a lot of waitresses and waiters sometimes don't write things down, because they just do it enough where they're like, okay, they're able to, section things off in their mind, and being able to make that, kind of embed that, okay, yada yada yada, be able to come back to the machine, punch it in, and go to the next one, and go through their routine.
Hi, my name is 𝗀𝗽𝗪 𝗀𝗃𝗪, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world, globally, all across the country, high performers, titans of industry. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, this is where you want to be. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. We are scaling massively. We want to welcome you in. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @𝗀𝗪𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗪25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
And I was noticing this the other night, because we were at an event together, and you work with a lot of interns from, I guess, the University of from IUP. Is that usually who you're working with? Oh, right. Yeah, Pitt Johnstown. We're from Central Pennsylvania, by the way, if you're just tuning in. And I noticed like you do a lot of mentoring with younger students, and you work with a lot of younger students, and you bring them into your circles, right? And I think that this concept of serving, this concept of relationship building, I mean, that's something that personally I love to do also. It's really fun to work with students and help them and guide them along that path, along that journey. I always get massive benefit from that. But I noticed for yourself, like, was that something that you had to develop in your line of work that you were not doing before? That's something you always gravitated towards? Because I think a lot of people think, I don't have time for this. I don't have time to spend with interns. I don't have time to spend mentoring somebody. It turns out we do have time, and it turns out those are usually the most rewarding experiences. Some of the most rewarding experiences I have were being mentors for younger students and things like that. So what was that like for you? Because I think I see that as something that plays a big part in your business that is very meaningful for other people.
Yeah, I think that comes from I've always been around sports, specifically youth sports. As a kid, youth sports, right? So by the time I was 16, I was actually coaching t-ball. I was a head t-ball coach, and next thing I know, I'm umpiring and even running a league as their commissioner, and working from t-ball all the way up to pony and colt league, which was sometimes 17. I think the age there is like 17, 18 for the colt league, but that to me is, you need to be able to work in team environments and give our youth the proper surroundings. Shout out to Chip Baker. Last night was amazing, talking about the environment. What was it? I got it here.
It was the EERA, the environment, the experiences, the relationships, and the actions.
Yeah.
Right?
So, right. And so creating those things for our youth, it was important to me as a kid to have those things. So being able to create those opportunities for kids moving forward, it's only going to increase the longevity of their willingness to stay in the area, right? People tend to leave, and God bless them, go get experience. It's kind of one of those things. If you're in the mountains of Pennsylvania, you can't always leave, but you can always come back. And when you come back, bring your tools with you, right?
Yeah.
So, and all of my wonderful experience that I've had stem from this area. So I want to be able to expand those roots and make something more powerful, bigger than myself.
And you never know, and I know you don't think of it this way, and I don't either, but you never know how those things are going to pay off for you in the future also, right? There might be a long game that's being played with some people that you mentor that could play out 10, 15, 20 years down the road. You never know, but you're never going to go wrong by building healthy servant leader relationships. It's always going to be beneficial. And I'm curious for you about this, like being stuck and getting unstuck. How did this, speaking even outside of business, how has this played out in your life? So where were you stuck at, like at an earlier age, that you had to get unstuck from? I think there's a lot of business talk, and I'm cool with business talk, but I'd like to get even deeper into, because everything in business comes back to personal,
Absolutely. I've spoken about mentorship, and mentorship is means a lot to me. It's very personal to me, because I didn't always have the types of surroundings, a traditional upbringing. I'm actually currently in the process of working with 𝗀𝗵𝗲 𝗨𝘀𝗀𝗃, one smart lady, and shout out. So we're actually working on my book together. Honor Thy Fathers talks about my experience in wanting mentorship and seeking out things that are bigger than I am. To give you an idea, I was 25 when I found out who my real father was. That was quite the experience. And really, in that book, we're going to be diving into, nature versus nurture, the events that happen to you in your life that, it's kind of that fight or flight, or that, okay, this is my innate person. This is who I am as a person. And these are the things that have been taught to me that may not even be true. But for me, it was my truth. And I had to work through that and understand that, just because I am who I am biologically doesn't mean it is who I am as a person. And so, there are some other peaks and valleys throughout that point in my life that really were some pretty deep struggles from just that scope in general. So I'm really excited to get this book out. We're making some great progress, so I hope to have it out by the fall.
Amazing, man. That is awesome. That's really good, because telling your story is one of the most important things that you can do. One of the most powerful things that you can do. Telling that story, it helps you to heal. I think for a lot of people too, right? Speaking of getting unstuck, telling your story helps you to heal and helps you to get unstuck. It also helps other people. I always love talking about making your mess your message, because you got to make that mess your message, because that message other people need. They need that as power. They need that to build that perseverance and that faith. But then it also heals you. And then you are able to get unstuck from that place. And you can find forgiveness in telling that story. It depends on how you tell it also. You can tell from a frame of reference that tears somebody down. That's not going to get you unstuck. But telling it from a place of forgiveness and growth is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I wanted to stress is I went through this alone. I imagine many others have been through something similar alone as well. But this isn't something that people talk about.
And it needs to be talked about. It's important.
Be addressed, because if you can't address this, you can't address many other parental problems that are acceptable, semi-acceptable, right? You're not chopping the head off of a bastard child these days, as they were in medieval times, right? That's just not how it happens. So it's thank God, because otherwise, I'd be on the chopping block for sure.
We wouldn't be having this conversation. So good. It's a good thing that didn't happen.
Wouldn't be here. Hi guys. Glad to be here.
Interesting, man. That's good. That's really important to recognize and to go back into that part of yourself and revisit that part of yourself, because you're going to unlock so many doors and you're going to open up so many opportunities by embracing that part of yourself. And you're going to draw people closer to you, right? When you're talking about earlier, you're not doing sales, you're being of service. And to be of service, like, I find it very interesting that, and this is something I've been working on a lot for myself, not separating business and personal, as far as like what I talk about when I am like in business, because I firmly believe that further we go along in life and the way things and technology is advancing, personal stories and our personal growth journey is just as essential in business, no matter what we're selling, to what we're selling. So even if you run like a soap shop or a coffee shop, you telling your personal story is going to bring people to you. If you're the face of the business and people know you as the business and they know the business is you, you're kind of inseparable. Now, if you're behind the scenes and you're not the face, then that's a different story. But if you are the face, being vulnerable, and you don't have to tell every dark secret of your life, but you have to be vulnerable and to tell your story, to inspire people with that brings people in, that breaks down those walls. Vulnerability will always break down walls, will always help you in the long run. I'm not saying to do that just to get business, but if you do that, you will get more business. You will attract more people to you, as long as you're being genuine and authentic with it.
Oh, 100%. And the book is written in a very unique way. It's my voice. I I wrote it in a very, so the audiobook, of course, is going to be a lot more animated than if you just read it. However, reading it, it's going to be so easy to digest and just to quickly get through. And I think I'm very tactical with a lot of my points and whenever I try to get them across. And there's just some crazy stories and experiences that have led to me where I'm at in life. And being vulnerable and accepting that where I was, and I talk about the mindset of where people were in their life that I reacted to, right? I took action, EERA, right? And how that led me into some very unique spots, which is very interesting. I'm just excited for everyone to read it. And it's just, there's every piece of me, I felt like I was cutting myself open whenever I was writing it. And working with Deb is absolutely wonderful if you're looking to get your book to the finish line. Deb Smart, one smart lady. We'll have to bring her on, and we'll just have to do a panel at some point. We want to do about Hollywood Squares, right?
Yeah. And Deb Smart, she's been on the podcast. She was actually episode number 1. So if you ever want to listen to Deb, some of Deb's story, go back to the first episode of the Unstuck Movement. She was number 1 on there. She's amazing.
As we talked through a lot, it was just like our stories resonated very well with each other. Some very similar experiences in life, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
I'm just being able to connect and build something spectacular.
Amazing. I love that, man. And as we wrap this thing up, I like to go back to the beginning and ask people the question that I asked you, and I want to ask the audience this. If you're watching this or listening to this, what mindset shifts do you need to make, right? What mindset shifts do you need to make in your life if you're going to take your life or your business to the next level? Because I think it's important to mention, like, we're not just talking business, because everything business goes back to personal. Everything goes back to your life, right? So what are the mindset shifts that you need to make? What have you already made? And which ones do you need to make to take yourself to that next level from where you're at right now? Trav, thank you as always for being a friend, for being a part of the Unstuck Movement, being a part of the Academy for Excellence. And I just want to give you an opportunity. What do you want to leave people with as we sign off? What are your final words, final thoughts?
I just, one of the projects that I'm working on, we just got approval for Apple and Google Store, is the Bridged app. So it's coming to an app store near you here very soon. It's bridgedcom.com, bridgdcom.com, and you can go in there, register. They're running an Indiegogo campaign, so if you feel the need to support. And so the app is to help deaf people communicate. If you or you know someone that's deaf, is wanting to experience a new technology that can help them bridge the communication gap between people that hear and cannot hear, so the app is able to transcribe what you say and show it on the app, and being able to text to voice, so you can then communicate back in the place through the speaker. I'm extremely excited to get this out, and because it's going to change so many people's lives. We have some great ambitions for it. I learned if you are trying to get unstuck in your speaking, just know that there's people that wish they could speak. So get out there, light that fire under your rear, and go talk to people. Join Toastmasters group. God bless, man. It's this everything is just kind of coming to fruition, and full gas, no brakes. Let's go.
Yeah, love it. Thanks, dude. Thanks for being a part of this.
Yeah, man.